In the vast expanse of space, humanity had always dreamed of finding other intelligent life, but no one could have predicted the horrifying truth they would uncover or the terrible vengeance it would unleash. Captain Maya Chen stood on the bridge of the Earth Alliance starship Horizon, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling blue-green world filling the view screen. After months of deep space exploration, they had finally discovered an inhabited alien planet. Excitement and trepidation warred within her as she considered the momentous first contact about to occur. "Life signs confirmed," Captain reported her science officer, Dr. Elias Okafor. "Multiple cities detected. Technology level appears similar to mid-21st century Earth." Maya nodded, her short black hair bobbing with emotion. "Initiate first contact protocols. Let's introduce ourselves to our new neighbors." But as they began broadcasting peaceful greetings in various formats, alarms suddenly blared across the bridge. "Captain, we're detecting a massive energy surge from the planet's surface," cried the tactical officer. Before anyone could react, a blinding beam of light lanced out from the alien world, enveloping the horizon in crackling energy. Systems went haywire as the ship bucked and shuddered. "Report," Maya shouted over the chaos. "Some kind of tractor beam, Captain," Elias yelled back. "It's pulling us down into the atmosphere." Try as they might, the crew of the Horizon could not break free from the alien planet's grip. The ship plummeted through swirling clouds, hull glowing red-hot from atmospheric entry. With a bone-jarring impact, they crash-landed in a forested area near one of the alien cities. Dazed but alive, Maya pulled herself to her feet amid the wreckage of the bridge. "Sound off," she called. "Anyone hurt?" As her crew reported in, mostly unharmed thanks to emergency crash protocols, Maya's mind raced. This was no accident. They had been deliberately shot down. But why? What could drive an alien species to react with such immediate hostility? She got her answer moments later as heavily armed troops surrounded the downed starship. Insectoid beings in gleaming armor swarmed through the breached hull, subduing the human crew with swift, brutal efficiency. Maya felt a sharp sting in her neck, and the world began to swim around her. The last thing she saw before losing consciousness was a towering alien figure striding towards her, mandibles clicking in what could only be anticipation. When Maya awoke, she found herself strapped to a cold metal table in a sterile white room. Masked alien faces loomed over her, chittering in an incomprehensible language. Terror gripped her as she realized her crew must be in similar situations, helpless, and at the mercy of these hostile extraterrestrials. But nothing could have prepared her for what came next. As the aliens began their invasive examinations and cruel experiments, Maya caught glimpses of other holding cells. To her horror, she saw that it wasn't just her crew being subjected to this torment. There were other aliens, dozens of species she had never seen before. And among them, most horrifying of all, were children. Small, terrified alien younglings huddled in cages, many bearing signs of extensive testing. The realization hit Maya like a physical blow. This wasn't just one hostile species. This was a conspiracy spanning multiple worlds. A galactic council that preyed on emerging civilizations, seeing them as nothing more than lab rats to be dissected and discarded. Rage and despair warred within her as she witnessed atrocity after atrocity. She had to find a way to escape, to warn Earth about the threat looming in the stars. But more than that, she knew humanity could not stand idly by while innocents suffered. One way or another, this galactic council would pay for its crimes. As the alien scientists prepared another round of agonizing tests, Maya steeled herself. She would endure. She would survive. And when the time came, she would ensure that humanity brought the full force of its righteous fury down upon these monsters who dared to call themselves civilized. Little did the Galactic Council know, they had just made the biggest mistake in their long history. They had awoken a sleeping giant and filled it with a terrible resolve. Humanity was coming, and it would not rest until justice was served and worlds burned. Escape and revelation. Days blurred into an endless nightmare of pain and degradation. Maya lost track of time as the alien scientists probed and experimented, pushing her body and mind to the breaking point. But through it all, she clung to hope, hope that she would find a way to escape, to save the innocent beings trapped alongside her. Her chance came during a routine transfer between testing chambers. As her insectoid guards marched her down a sterile corridor, Maya caught a glimpse of a familiar face. Dr. Elias Okafor, her science officer. Their eyes met for a split second, a spark of understanding passing between them. In that moment, they acted. Maya drove her elbow into the nearest guard's midsection, right where she had observed a weak point in their chitness armor. Elias simultaneously lashed out, using his considerable strength to wrestle a weapon from the other guard. Alarms blared as the two humans fought with desperate ferocity. More guards poured into the hallway, but Maya and Elias had the element of surprise. They cut a path through their captors, driven by adrenaline and the need to survive. The holding cells. Maya shouted over the chaos. "We need to free the others." They fought their way to the central hub of the facility, where rows of clear pods held prisoners of various species. Maya's heart clenched as she saw the terrified faces of alien children, some no bigger than her hand. Working quickly, they began releasing prisoners. Some were too weak or traumatized to move, while others joined the fight with savage determination. Among them was a small reptilian creature with iridescent scales. It clung to Maya's leg, eyes wide with gratitude and fear. As the alarms grew louder and the sound of approaching reinforcements echoed through the halls, Maya made a snap decision. "We need to find a way off this planet," she said to Elias. "But we can't leave these innocents behind." Elias nodded grimly. "I think I saw a hangar bay during my examinations. If we can reach it, we might be able to commandeer a ship." The ragtag group of escapees fought their way through the facility, the stronger helping the weaker. Maya carried the small reptilian child, determined to protect it at all costs. They lost some along the way, but pressed on with grim determination. Finally, they reached the hangar bay. Sleek alien vessels stood ready for launch, their strange designs unlike anything Maya had ever seen. But there was no time to marvel. Heavily armed guards were closing in fast. "Everyone on board," Maya shouted, herding the survivors onto the nearest ship. Elias rushed to the controls, his scientific mind working overtime to decipher the alien technology. With a roar of engines and a hail of weapons fire, they blasted out of the hangar. The ship shuddered as it punched through the planet's atmosphere, pursued by smaller craft. But Elias' quick thinking and Maya's expert tactics allowed them to slip away into the vastness of space. As the adrenaline faded, Maya looked around at the ragged band of survivors. Beings of all shapes and sizes huddled together, united by their shared trauma and newfound freedom. The small reptilian child still clung to her, seeking comfort. "What now, Captain?" Elias asked softly. Maya's eyes hardened with resolve. "Now, we find a way to contact Earth. We need to warn them about the Galactic Council and what they've been doing. And then," she paused, her voice low and dangerous, "then we make them pay for every innocent life they've destroyed." As they charted a course through unfamiliar star systems, Maya began to plan. She knew that humanity alone might not be enough to take on the might of the Galactic Council. But perhaps with the help of these other victimized species, they could form an alliance of their own. The small reptilian child looked up at her with trust in its large eyes. Maya gently stroked its scaled head, making a silent vow. She would not rest until the Galactic Council was brought to justice, their worlds burned to ash if necessary. For the sake of this child, and all the others who had suffered, humanity would show the universe the true meaning of righteous fury. Forging alliances. As their stolen alien vessel soared through the cosmic void, Maya and her diverse crew of survivors faced the daunting task of finding their way back to Earth. With no familiar star patterns to guide them and limited supplies, tension ran high aboard the cramped ship. Maya spent long hours on the bridge, poring over star charts with Elias, trying to decipher the alien navigation systems. The small reptilian child, whom she had started calling Spark, due to its vibrant scales, rarely left her side. Its presence was a constant reminder of why they couldn't give up. "Captain," Elias called out one day, excitement in his voice. "I think I've found something." Maya rushed to his side, hope rising in her chest. On the view screen, a familiar spiral galaxy slowly rotated. "Is that?" she breathed. Elias nodded, a grin spreading across his face. "The Milky Way. We're still a long way out, but at least now we know which direction to go." As they adjusted course, a new challenge arose. Their ship's systems began to falter, power levels dropping dangerously low. "We need to find a place to land," Maya announced to the anxious crew. "Somewhere to make repairs and gather supplies." They scanned nearby systems, eventually locating a small habitable moon orbiting a gas giant. As they descended through wisps of atmosphere, Maya's heart sank. The surface was dotted with the ruins of an ancient civilization. Another victim of the Galactic Council, Elias wondered aloud. They sat down near a cluster of dilapidated structures. Maya organized search parties, making sure each group had at least one human and one alien for balance. As they explored the ruins, they discovered signs of a brutal attack, scorch marks from energy weapons, toppled statues, and the lingering echo of a lost people. But amidst the desolation, they found hope. Hidden caches of technology and resources, untouched by the invaders, and most surprisingly, survivors. A small group of the planet's original inhabitants emerged from hidden bunkers, wary but curious. They were tall, slender beings with 4 arms and luminous skin that shifted colors with their moods. Communication was difficult at first, but Elias worked tirelessly with the ship's translation matrix. Slowly, they pieced together the tragic history of this world. The inhabitants, who called themselves the Lumina, had once been part of a peaceful federation of planets, but they had dared to speak out against the Galactic Council's cruel practices. In retaliation, the Council had made an example of them, destroying their homeworld and hunting down survivors. As Maya shared their own harrowing tale, a spark of kinship grew between the two groups. The Lumina, though traumatized, still possessed advanced technology and a burning desire for justice. "Join us," Maya proposed, her voice filled with passion. "Together, we can strike back against the Council. We can save others from suffering the same fate." The Lumina deliberated, their skin flickering through shades of blue and purple. Finally, their leader stepped forward, placing all 4 hands on Maya's shoulders in a gesture of acceptance. With the Lumina's help, they repaired and upgraded their ship. The vessel hummed with new power, a fusion of various alien technologies. As they prepared to leave the moon, Maya felt a surge of hope. They were no longer alone in their fight. Their journey continued, and word of their mission spread. At each stop, they gathered more allies, species who had suffered at the hands of the Galactic Council, or those who simply couldn't stand by while such atrocities occurred. A swarm mind of crystalline beings joined their cause, their collective intelligence proving invaluable for strategy. Shapeshifters who had escaped Council labs offered their unique abilities. Even a group of synthetic life forms, persecuted for their very existence, pledged their support. As their fleet grew, so did Maya's resolve. She stood on the bridge of their flagship, now a patchwork of technologies from a dozen worlds. Spark, the reptilian child, sat on her shoulder, a living symbol of all they fought for. "We're almost home," she said softly, gazing at the view screen where the Milky Way grew ever larger. "And when we get there, we'll show the Galactic Council that they picked the wrong species to mess with." The crew, human and alien alike, cheered. They had become more than allies. They were a family, forged in the fires of adversity and united by a common purpose. As they approached the outskirts of their home galaxy, Maya allowed herself a grim smile. The Galactic Council thought they were the apex predators of the universe. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Humanity was coming, and they were bringing the wrath of 1,000 worlds with them. Earth's awakening. The return to Earth was far from the triumphant homecoming Maya had imagined. As their Galactic fleet of alien vessels entered the solar system, they were immediately met with suspicion and hostility. Earth's defense systems, significantly advanced in their absence, locked onto them with enough firepower to vaporize a small moon. "This is Captain Maya Chen of the Earth Alliance." She broadcast on all frequencies, her voice steady despite the tension. "We've returned with vital information and allies." For tense hours, they hung in space, weapons trained on them from all sides. Finally, a familiar voice crackled over the comms. "Captain Chen, we thought you were dead." Relief washed over Maya as she recognized Admiral Kota, her old mentor. "Not dead, sir, but we've been through hell, and we've brought it back with us." Under heavy escort, they were allowed to land at a secure facility. As Maya stepped onto Earth's soil for the first time in what felt like years, she was struck by how alien her home now felt. The small reptilian child, Spark, clung tightly to her, overwhelmed by the new environment. A delegation of Earth's top military and political leaders awaited them. Maya stood tall, flanked by Elias and representatives from each of their alien allies. She could see the shock and disbelief on the faces of the humans as they took in the diverse group before them. "Ladies and gentlemen," Maya began, her voice carrying across the stunned silence, "we stand before you not just as survivors, but as harbingers. The universe is not the empty void we once believed it to be. It is filled with life, wonder, and terrible danger." Over the next several hours, Maya and her crew recounted their harrowing experiences. They told of the Galactic Council's atrocities, the suffering of countless species, and the alliance they had forged in the depths of space. The Earth leaders listened with growing horror and anger. When Maya finished her tale, the room erupted into chaos. Some called for immediate military action, others for caution and diplomacy. Admiral Kota raised his hand, silencing the room. "Captain Chen," he said gravely, "what you're proposing, it's unprecedented. A war against an enemy we barely understand, alongside allies we've just met." Maya nodded, understanding their hesitation. But before she could respond, Spark suddenly leaped from her shoulder. The small reptilian child scampered to the center of the room, its scales shimmering with an inner light. To everyone's shock, it began to project a holographic display. Images flooded the room, vivid, heart-wrenching scenes of the tortures and experiments they had witnessed, the suffering of innocent beings, the destruction of entire worlds. Even the hardened military leaders flinched at the brutality on display. As the hologram faded, Spark returned to Maya's side. She placed a protective hand on its head, then faced the Earth delegation. "This is what awaits us if we do nothing," she said softly. "The Galactic Council sees us as nothing more than lab rats. They've done this to countless worlds, and they won't stop until someone stands against them." A heavy silence fell over the room. Finally, the president of the Earth Alliance stood. "Captain Chen," she said, her voice filled with resolve, "you've shown us that we are not alone in the universe. But you've also shown us that we cannot stand alone in the face of this threat." She turned to address the alien representatives. "On behalf of humanity, I extend our hand in friendship and alliance. The crimes of the Galactic Council cannot go unanswered. Earth will join your cause." A ripple of agreement passed through the room. Maya felt a weight lift from her shoulders, even as a new one settled in its place. The real work was just beginning. Over the following weeks, Earth was transformed. The planet became a hub of frenzied activity as they prepared for a war unlike any humanity had ever faced. Alien technologies were integrated into Earth's defenses and spacecraft. New weapons were developed, combining the best innovations from a dozen worlds. Maya found herself at the center of it all, coordinating between Earth's military and their new alien allies. The small child, Spark, became an unexpected ambassador, its innocence and resilience touching the hearts of humans and aliens alike. As the day of reckoning approached, Maya stood aboard the bridge of Earth's new flagship, a marvel of hybrid technology. She looked out at the assembled fleet, a testament to the unity they had forged in the face of overwhelming odds. The Galactic Council thought they could break us, she addressed the combined forces. They thought they could experiment on us, torture us, and snuff out our light. But they underestimated the strength that comes from standing together. She paused, her gaze sweeping across the faces of 100 species united in purpose. Today, we show them the true power of unity. Today, we bring justice to the stars. As one, the fleet engaged their drives. In a blaze of light, they vanished into the depths of space, carrying with them the hopes of countless worlds and the burning desire for retribution. The Galactic Council's day of reckoning had arrived. The first strike. The combined fleet of Earth and its alien allies emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Galactic Council territory. Maya stood on the bridge of the flagship, christened Unity, her eyes fixed on the swirling nebula before them. According to their intelligence, a major council research station was hidden within its cosmic dust. All ships maintain stealth protocols, Maya ordered, her voice calm despite the tension thrumming through her. Spark, are you ready? The small reptilian child, now fitted with advanced communications gear, chirped an affirmative. Its unique abilities had proven invaluable, able to detect and interpret energy signatures that eluded even the most sophisticated sensors. As they crept deeper into the nebula, Spark suddenly stiffened. A holographic display sprang to life, revealing the massive structure of the Council's research station. Maya's jaw clenched as she saw the familiar design, memories of her captivity flashing through her mind. "We have the element of surprise," Elias said softly beside her. "They don't know we're coming." Maya nodded grimly. "Let's make it count. All ships, battle stations, commence Operation Lightbringer." The fleet burst into action. Shapeshifter infiltration teams slipped aboard the station, disabling key systems. The crystalline swarm mind beings jammed communications, isolating the station from potential reinforcements. And Earth's ships, now armed with devastating hybrid weapons, opened fire. The battle was fierce but swift. Caught off guard, the Council's defenses crumbled. As boarders secured the station, Maya led a team to the central core. What they found there only fueled their righteous anger. Rows upon rows of stasis pods filled the chambers, each containing a different alien species in various stages of cruel experimentation. Maya's heart ached as she saw pods sized for children, a grim reminder of the Council's depravity. "Get these people out of here," she ordered, her voice thick with emotion. "Gather all the data you can. We need proof to show the galaxy what's been happening here." As they worked to free the prisoners and secure the station, alarms suddenly blared. "Captain," Elias called out, "we've got incoming." A Council battle group just dropped out of hyperspace. Maya raced back to the Unity, barking orders as she went. The element of surprise was gone, but they had achieved their primary objective. Now it was time to show the Council that their victims could bite back. The space around the nebula erupted into chaos as the two fleets clashed. Council ships, massive and imposing, unleashed salvos of energy weapons. But the Allied fleet was nimble, their hybrid technologies allowing them to dance between the shots. Maya coordinated the battle with precision, utilizing the unique strengths of each species. Luminous ships phased in and out of normal space, striking from impossible angles. Earth vessels unleashed swarms of AI-driven fighters, overwhelming the Council's point defenses. The tide turned when the freed prisoners joined the fight. Those well enough to operate ships took control of the station's complement of vessels, turning them against their former masters. The Council fleet, caught in a pincer movement, began to falter. As the last enemy ship fell silent, a cheer went up across the Allied fleet. Their first major strike against the Galactic Council had been a resounding success, but Maya knew this was only the beginning. "Prepare for immediate withdrawal," she ordered. "We've bloodied their nose, but they'll be back in force soon enough. As they retreated into hyperspace, Maya allowed herself a small smile. They had struck a blow not just against the Council's military might, but against their air of invincibility. Word of this victory would spread, inspiring hope in oppressed worlds across the galaxy. Back on Unity's bridge, Maya gathered her core team for a debrief. The small reptilian child, Spark, curled up in her lap, exhausted but content. "We've made a statement today," Maya said, looking at each of her diverse crew members. "But the real fight is just beginning. The Council will retaliate, and they'll come at us with everything they have." Elias nodded gravely. "We need to be ready. This victory will buy us time and support, but we need a long-term strategy." Maya's eyes gleamed with determination. "Agreed. We'll take the fight to every corner of their empire if we have to. We'll liberate every world they've oppressed, free every being they've enslaved." She stood, Spark clinging to her shoulder, and gazed out at the star-streaked view of hyperspace. The Galactic Council thought they were gods among the stars. "We're going to show them that every tyrant's reign must come to an end." As Unity sped towards their next target, carrying news of their victory, a spark of hope ignited across the galaxy. The era of the Galactic Council's unchallenged dominion was over. A new power had risen, forged in the fires of oppression and tempered by the strength of unity. And they would not rest until justice was served. The turning tide. Months passed as the war against the Galactic Council intensified. Maya and her allied fleet struck at Council strongholds across the galaxy, each victory adding to their growing legend. Worlds that had long suffered under the Council's tyranny began to rise up, inspired by the tales of the diverse armada that dared to challenge the oppressors. But the Council was far from defeated. They responded with brutal force, unleashing weapons of terrifying power that could shatter planets. The conflict escalated, with both sides suffering heavy losses. Maya stood in Unity's war room, surrounded by holograms detailing their latest intelligence. Her face was etched with fatigue, but her eyes burned with unwavering determination. Spark, now almost double its original size, sat on her shoulder, its scales shimmering with nervous energy. "They're gathering their forces here," Maya said, pointing to a cluster of systems near the galactic core. "Intel suggests they're protecting something big." Elias frowned, studying the data. "A superweapon." "Worse," replied Lyrax, their Lumina ally. His luminous skin pulsed with dark colors. "We believe it's the seat of their government, the High Council itself." A ripple of excitement passed through the assembled leaders. This could be their chance to strike at the very heart of their enemy. But as they began to plan their assault, alarms blared throughout the ship. Maya rushed to the bridge, her heart pounding. On the main view screen, a nightmarish sight unfolded. A massive Council armada had appeared, somehow slipping past their early warning systems. At its center was a ship of impossible size, bristling with weapons that defied comprehension. "Evasive maneuvers," Maya shouted, but it was too late. The colossal vessel fired, unleashing a beam of coruscating energy that sliced through space itself. Ships of the Allied fleet were caught in its path, disintegrating instantly. Unity shuddered as the beam passed dangerously close, systems flickering under the strain. "Status report," Maya demanded, steadying herself against her command chair. "We've lost a third of the fleet," Elias reported grimly. "Whatever that weapon is, our shields are useless against it." For a moment, despair threatened to overwhelm Maya. How could they fight against such overwhelming power? But then she felt a gentle touch on her cheek. Spark looked at her with its large, trusting eyes, and Maya found her resolve hardening once more. "We didn't come this far to give up now," she said, her voice carrying across the bridge. "All ships initiate Protocol Omega." It was a desperate gambit, one they had hoped never to use. Across the Allied fleet, ships began to power up experimental devices, technology that merged the phase-shifting abilities of the Lumina with the reality-warping potential of human quantum theories. As the Council's superweapon prepared to fire again, The Allied ships activated their devices in unison. Space itself seemed to ripple and tear. The energy beam lashed out, but this time it passed harmlessly through the Allied fleet as if they weren't there. For a crucial few moments, they existed in a state between dimensions, untouchable by conventional weapons. It was their chance to strike back. All ships, concentrate fire on that monstrosity, Maya ordered. A storm of exotic energies and impossibly dense projectiles slammed into the Council's flagship. Its shields, designed to withstand the forces of colliding stars, buckled under the assault. The battle raged on, with neither side willing to yield. But slowly, inexorably, the tide began to turn. The Council's technological superiority was countered by the Allies' impossible blend of diverse sciences and sheer determination. As the Council flagship began to break apart, a transmission cut through the chaos. On Unity's view screen, the face of a being appeared, ancient, alien, and filled with cold fury. "I am High Counselor Zexera," the being intoned. "You primitive species dare to challenge the natural order of the galaxy. Your worlds will burn for this insolence." Maya stepped forward, her voice steady. "No, Zexera. Your reign of terror ends today. The beings you thought were beneath you have risen up, and we will not rest until every world is freed from your tyranny." With a snarl of rage, Zexera cut the transmission. Moments later, the Council's remaining ships began a hasty retreat, their seemingly invincible flagship left behind as a gutted wreck. As the adrenaline of battle faded, Maya looked out at the starfield, now littered with debris from both sides. They had won a crucial victory, but at a terrible cost. And she knew that the war was far from over. "Set course for Earth," she said softly. "We need to regroup, repair, and prepare for the final battle." As Unity limped away from the battlefield, Maya felt the weight of countless lives, human and alien, resting on her shoulders. They had proves that the Council could be beaten. Now they had to finish what they started, no matter the cost. The liberation of the galaxy was within reach, but the hardest fight still lay ahead. Maya gazed at the faces of her diverse crew, each bearing the scars of their long struggle. Whatever came next, she knew they would face it together, a family forged in the fires of war, united in their quest for justice. The final reckoning. The journey back to Earth was somber, the Allied fleet battered but unbroken. As they approached the familiar blue marble of humanity's homeworld, Maya felt a complex mix of emotions. Pride in how far they'd come, sorrow for the losses they'd endured, and a steely determination for the battles yet to come. Unity docked at the massive orbital shipyard that now encircled Earth, a testament to how much had changed in the years since their crusade began. As Maya disembarked, she was met not just by human officials, but by representatives from dozens of liberated worlds. The alliance had grown far beyond what she could have imagined. Captain Chen, Admiral Koda, greeted her, his face lined with new wrinkles, but his eyes bright with pride. "The Council is on the run. You've given hope to half the galaxy." Maya nodded, Spark perched on her shoulder as always. "But they're not defeated yet. And now they're desperate, which makes them more dangerous than ever." In the days that followed, Maya and her team shared everything they'd learned about the Council's seat of power near the galactic core. Scientists and strategists from 100 worlds pored over the data, searching for any weakness they could exploit. It was Spark who made the breakthrough. The small reptilian, now recognized as a prodigy in energy manipulation, detected a pattern in the Council's defensive grid, a flaw born of their own arrogance. They never imagined anyone could reach their hallowed center of power. As the final battle plans took shape, Maya addressed the assembled forces. Billions watched the broadcast across the liberated worlds, hearts pounding with anticipation. "For too long, the Galactic Council has played God with our lives." Maya's voice rang out, clear and strong. "They saw us as laboratory specimens, as resources to be exploited. But we have shown them the true strength of unity. Every world they oppressed, every child they tortured, every species they sought to erase. We carry their memory into this final battle." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the vast array of beings before her. "This fight isn't just for ourselves. It's for every sentient being in the galaxy, and for all those yet to evolve. We fight so that no one will ever again suffer under the Council's cruel reign." A roar of approval shook the very foundations of the shipyard. As Maya returned to Unity's bridge, she felt the weight of history on her shoulders. This would be their finest hour, or their last stand. The jump to the galactic core was the longest of Maya's life. When they emerged, the sight took her breath away. The Council's capital was a massive structure of impossible geometry, sprawling across the star-studded void. Surrounding it was the largest fleet they had ever encountered, thousands of ships forming an impenetrable barrier. "This is it," Maya said softly. "All ships, execute battle plan Omega Sunrise." The battle that followed would be remembered for millennia to come. The Allied fleet struck with all the fury of the oppressed, their ships darting through the Council's formations with impossible maneuvers. Weapons fire lit up the darkness of space, rivaling the brightness of nearby stars. On Unity's bridge, Maya coordinated the assault with machine-like precision. Spark's abilities proved invaluable, allowing them to predict and counter the Council's tactics. But the price was high. Ship after ship fell silent, lives extinguished in silent flashes against the void. Just when it seemed they might falter, a miracle occurred. From the depths of space, new fleets arrived, species that had been neutral or even hostile, inspired by the Allies' brave stand against tyranny. The tide of battle shifted once more. As the Council's defenses crumbled, Maya led a strike team to the very heart of their capital. They fought through twisting corridors that defied Euclidean geometry, facing the Council's most elite guards. Finally, they breached the High Council chamber. The beings within regarded them with a mixture of shock and disdain. High Councilor Zexera rose from an ornate throne, his ancient eyes blazing with fury. "You dare," he hissed. "We are the shepherds of the galaxy. Without our guidance, chaos will reign." Maya stepped forward, her voice steady. "Your reign is over, Zexera. You forgot the most important law of the universe, evolution. You thought you could control it, direct it to your whims. But life always finds a way." With a roar of rage, Zexera lunged at Maya. But Spark was faster. The small reptilian leaped from Maya's shoulder, its body glowing with incredible energy. In a blinding flash, Spark's true power was revealed. It was the physical manifestation of the very life force Zexera had sought to control. When the light faded, the High Council was no more. In their place stood shimmering beings of pure energy, the trapped essences of countless species, finally free. "It's over," Maya breathed, hardly daring to believe it. As news of the Council's fall spread across the galaxy, celebrations erupted on countless worlds. But Maya knew their work was far from finished. The power vacuum left by the Council's defeat would need to be filled with something better. A true galactic federation, built on mutual respect and cooperation. Months later, Maya stood before the newly formed Galactic Alliance, Spark by her side. Representatives from thousands of worlds had gathered to chart a new course for their shared future. "We've won our freedom," Maya addressed the assembly. "Now comes the hard part, living up to the ideals we fought for. But I have faith in us, all of us. Together, we will build a galaxy where no child fears the stars, where no species stands alone, and where the wonders of the universe are open to all." As she looked out at the sea of diverse faces, Maya felt a profound sense of hope. The Galactic Council had sought to control evolution, to shape the galaxy to their will. In the end, it was the very diversity they feared that proved to be their undoing. The stars shone brighter that day, as if heralding a new era of peace and discovery. And somewhere out in the vast expanse of space, new civilizations were taking their first steps towards the stars, unaware that they were being welcomed into a galaxy forever changed by the courage of those who dared to stand against tyranny.